What's up, guys? Welcome to your 157th Android tutorial for the new Boston. Again, we're working with the XML parsing, kind of boring stuff like that. But just to show you guys an example, we're going to set up our parser within this tutorial, or at least part of it, and we'll add to it as we go within the next few tutorials. So, we created, this full URI with the help of our string builder to match our city and state, which is what we're going to need when working with the Google Weather API. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set up a website within a try bracket, and we're also going to do all our parsing within this try bracket because things sometimes tend to go awry, and we're going to just surround it with a try, and if things don't work out, we're just going to say catch, again exception, just a standard exception, call it E, and all we're going to do is we have this text view which is supposed to display our weather, but if this exception happens, we're just going to say text view set text to error. So there we go. Now if things don't work out, we have a backup plan. You always need to have a backup plan. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set up an actual URL instance. So URL, and we're just going to call this website. This is going to be equal to new URL, and we're going to pass in our string that we created with our string builder, which was called full URL, like that. Again, we just have to add our imports, and there we go. Now we have a URL called website. What we need to do to parse the data is use a SAXParserFactory, or SAX, I said SAX with an A, factory type variable, and then we're going to get down into the XMLReader. Now what SAX stands for is simple API XML, and then we're going to say parser, and then factory. So this is just a variable we're going to call SPF, something like that. And then we're going to say this is equal to our SAXParserFactory and a new instance of that. So all we do is just dot new instance, kind of gives us the default SAXParserFactory. And then we can just kind of specify that a little bit more. We're going to create a SAX parser. And this is just going to be equal to SP. And all we're going to do is we're going to relate to our SPF, our SAXParserFactory, and then we just say dot new SAXParser, again kind of just a default that we're working with. Lastly, and most importantly, since we're reading XML, we're just going to create an XMLReader, and we're just going to call this XR for XMLReader. Set this equal to our SAXParser SP dot get XMLReader. Because again, we're reading XML stuff, so an XMLReader would be nice. And you might just want to leave a comment, even though whatever. We're just going to say getting XMLReader to parse data. Just a reminder, because you're like SAXParserFactory, SAXParser, XMLReader, what's going on? But it's pretty simple if you guys just kind of think of it for a second. It's just kind of the default SAXParserFactory, and then we get a new instance of the SAXParser, and then we just get the XMLReader. It's all coming from the same thing, which actually comes from the SAXParserFactory class. So there we go. We have our XMLReader, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use our handle, which we called handling XML stuff. So we're just going to set up a variable handling XML stuff, and we're going to call this doing work, because it's pretty much handling all of our business. We're just going to set this equal to a new handling XML stuff variable or instance, and there we go. And then a couple more lines of code. We're going to refer to our XMLReader. Then we're just going to say dot set content handler. And you're like, oh, handler and handling stuff? Yeah, Well, that's the connection that we're making, and we're going to call this doing work, which is the instance of our variable that we just set up there. And it's giving us an error right now because it's like, hey, I don't know how I feel about this, because I'm supposed to be receiving a content handler, but you're just telling me to do work. Or so what's going on there? Well, we haven't defined this class. We haven't set up what this instance means. We're going to get to that in a few tutorial, or in the next tutorial probably. But that's what we want to look for, and that's the method how we use this XML reader to look for the things that we actually want to look for. And then again, we're going to set up this variable, which is a handling XML stuff type variable, to look for the stuff that we actually want, or our city and temperature and all that stuff. And then what we're going to say is our XMLReader dot parse, and then as you can see, it takes some sort of an input, and what we're going to do is we're going to say new input source, and we're going to refer to our website or URL, and then dot OpenStream. And that's probably it for this tutorial. I know we went through quite a few things here and I didn't really explain much, but it'll make more sense as we go, and I'll probably do a review of this stuff, because again, I told you guys I'd go slow, but all we did is we wanted to get to an XML reader so we can read some XML stuff. So we referred to the SAXParserFactory class, basically just to get the default instance. And then we even specified it a little bit further by creating a SAX parser, and all that's going to do is create a new SAX parser out of our SAXParserFactory. And then we wanted to get to this XML reader, which again we just specified a little bit more specifically, that we wanted to get the XML reader, and then we're going to use that reader to look for the things that we want to look for, and then we're going to parse that data from this website. So again, it's a little bit confusing for now, guys, but I promise I'll explain it in the next few tutorials, and I hope to see you guys then. Hope you have a good one, and peace.